there have been a couple of issues with links.
Yeah.
And people have said, hey, I can't get my stuff because the link's not working. And I'm just like, I don't act like it's a problem. I just, I'm so sorry. And then I fix it and sign off with gratitude and have a good day and all of this. And some have shared personal things and I've responded about that, but they are immediately leaving me reviews. And Amanda told me that my level of reviews is almost impossible to get on Etsy. The percentage of reviews.
Right.
Like I have like 2,600 sales roughly, and I have like 1,300 reviews.
Yeah, it's a 50% review lets you know that it's really either a unique product,
which it's not,
or that it is something in the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what do you think makes the people review? Is it the product? Is it that you're sending a little something extra? Is it what makes someone compelled to review? And are those the stickers also from your sticker shop, right?
No, I do have some stickers in there, but I'm going to stop doing those stickers.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting the interest, and I think I have other strengths that are better.
Well, a digital download is instant.
It's instant, yeah. But yeah, they're artist trading cards,
Mm-hmm.
and art for the frame TVs,
mm-hmm.
Which happen to be the same dimensions as desktop wallpaper, which is a popular item with not that many people providing it. So I'm going to take those same images and turn them into desktop wallpaper.
Oh, it's a great idea.
Yeah. So they're products like that. So I have a couple journals up there that are digital. I have some mock-ups and things like that. So yeah. So it is instant. And the reviews, some people just give it like 5 stars, and other people have said stuff about the customer service. And some people have just been like, the one who said she couldn't wait, or she used what she bought from me to finish her insane asylum junk journal.
Yeah, right. The junk journal.
They were perfect. Yeah. So some of it might be the product. I mean, there's other like vintage grotesque kind of things on Etsy for sure, but it's also a little more unique than all of the watercolor and
well, you've done, I mean, I think that, did you tell me that you created 50,000 images last year?
No, it was like 11.
Okay.
11 that in the last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I don't know where I'm at, because something happened with the numbers, and it happened to a bunch of people where all of a sudden it looked like they made less.
Oh,
and it's not like, so I don't know, but yeah, I am sure that I am like 15,000 or more, because I've been hitting it hard with redoing some of the images that I did when I first got Midjourney, when it was in its like baby stage, to see how those images look now with their current model. And then also for the Etsy shop. So
right. And in Etsy, what we have found is that so some of our people that are going to product, it's a safer place for them, because they can actually get feedback while they're building something, and they can get feedback that's from a creative, supportive community, and not just, I hate you. Right. That it's really nice to have other creatives really helping you pattern. Right. And I'm surprised at how many Etsy owners are also Etsy shoppers.
Yeah.
That they are choosing that space first, and they're choosing it first for the community. And Etsy for 10 years straight was the largest new business starter in the world. So that, and you've been to some of those other things where you've been to Etsy forums, and other things that really are helpful.
Yeah.
Do you still use those tools?
Well, obviously I left a lot of them kind of when I wasn't doing Etsy anymore because I just didn't need it. But I have very selectively, I have like one group of Etsy sellers that I'm in on Facebook, one group that's specific to print on demand
Mhm.
items, and one group that I just signed up for that is she runs an academy for sellers,
Mm,
but she also gives a lot away for free. And she is a manager at eRank, which is one of the most popular tools for looking at your competition, looking up keywords and how popular they are, the trends that are going on, how Etsy algorithm works. So she knows her stuff because she's working right in the thick of it where she has to
right.
be, So I figured she was a good one to follow
Wow.
during that.
And um and so again, right, being around in community,
Mhm.
right? It's so important for wherever you're building your business model, is building more community.
Definitely.
Janet's popping in. Sandy will not be popping in because
Okay.
she's still there. She's going to watch the rerun. Well, thank you so much for being here. Hey, Janet, how are you? We actually are talking about one of your favorite topics, images. Oh, she's figuring it out. So in community with Etsy, going back again, have you been able to really enjoy? I mean, Etsy has, over the last 5 years, because it's been 5 years since you've done stickers.
Yeah, about that.
I mean, it is really expanded.
Hmm.
What have you noticed the changes in Etsy's expansion over the last 60 months?
Um, I don't know that I have noticed a lot, other than for whatever reason, I do seem to be able to find resources better. So I think that they are um maybe better about sharing information. Like I don't think they always want you to know how their algorithm works because people start to cheat the system.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there are people that do things that they shouldn't be doing, but um I can tell that the products have shifted a lot.
Hmm.
There's a lot of print on demand on there. There's a lot of AI art. There's also a lot of people selling like prompts for Midjourney to create a certain type of art, prompts for ChatGPT to get specific kind of things for your business or whatever it is you're trying to do. Um, and unfortunately, most of those are fairly unethical. Like they're literally putting into ChatGPT, give me a bunch of prompts on this category, and then they're just selling it. They're not testing them. They're not, and a lot of them are just junk,
Right.
which is unfortunate. I hate that because it's just really like there's no love or care that goes into that process, and it just really affects how people view the industry as a whole.
Yeah, right.
Same with a lot of bundles that I don't remember seeing before, but like buy this bundle and get everything in my shop for the life of my shop.
It is crazy. That's actually what I was going to ask you, was the bundling is really the new phase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what is interesting about that bundle is I've actually talked to a couple of people who have bundled their stuff, and the bundles that they go, look, nobody has the space to download all that. Like they think they want it all, but there's no way. Like you can sell it to them all, but they actually only are going to use 2 or 3 things. Just give them everything.
And then they're going to forget that they have access to that. And
Correct.
I think bundles are 99% an impulse buy.
Yes.
You see a cheap price, a ton of product, and you think for sure you'll be able to find something in there instead of spending hours digging through listings trying to find that one or two image that is perfect for you. And that is another thing, just like the prompt type packages, bundles, that a lot of those like images are just junk. They're
Yeah.
not, people are buying bundles and then repackaging them.
Yeah. The AI, I mean, there's another creative on-site tool Creativity on Demand or something like that. And you're seeing a lot of those bundlers there. And what's interesting is you're seeing a lot of bundles of things that used to be, what I like about the bundles concept is that if you did something that was really in style, like everything was retro for a minute, or if you're doing things that are very cartoonish, or watercolor flowers, right? I mean, how many ways can you have watercolor flowers?
Yeah.
Well, a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. My
Um,
biggest bundle has about 300, a little over 300 images, and it's all the vintage grotesque stuff.
Yep.
And what I did with that bundle is actually I just randomly create new images in that theme of different sizes, and I just throw them in the bundle. And then I
Oh,
up the
right.
price $1 or $2.
Yeah.
So every time I add more images, I up the price a little bit, and that has been selling, and people really like it. I think they like that there's different sized images in there, and that there's a ton to choose from, and I think that they're pretty good. I think
Yeah.
like the
And I think that bundling is also one of the things that we have coming from, we really see what Netflix did for us, right? That Netflix was, wow, we should gorge on this.
Yeah.
We don't want just one movie. We really want a series. We don't even want a movie anymore. We want a series that will captivate us for 15 hours, right? Movie makers have, their dream has come true, that they can be with their audience for hours and hours and hours and hours. And AI allows us to do that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I think that that's the other part about that love affair, right? Today's topic is love, right? Love is a business model. And that playful interaction with your customers is really there to be like, oh yeah, let me put these in here. They're so cool. I hope you enjoy them.
Yeah.
And that's also a place where I think a video is helpful to go, hey, I just redid this. Here's what's up. I think that could also be another way to work that in social, is to go, hey, I created a bunch of these images. Here's the new bundle. And the other thing about that random selector is that you're surprised too.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Okay, Karen Carson, give us your update. Oh, gotta unmute.
There
you are.
Here I am. Well, I'm in the 12-week accountability class, so I've been busy with that. And so I'm discovering a lot of things about my writing, which is interesting, because I have a lot of it, but you don't usually see it all in one place. So I've been working on that. And we've had company for 3 days, so that's nice too. And, you know, things, today it's cool. We can all work.
Yeah. Yeah, it is great. It is great. Did you want to share your 12-week goal with everyone here?
Okay. You told me that I have too many. So
one.
Well,
yours are epic.
My number one goal is to finish a book by the end of the class and have it printed and ready for whatever. And decluttering, as you can see, I haven't gotten here yet, but I've gotten other places.
Right.
And also I would like to lose 15 pounds, but that's things are a little too stressful for that right now. So I'm kind of on the low side of that.
Right. Right. But the big deal about your writing and you're writing a book is it's going back and getting all of the writing that you've done in the past and curating it into a book. So the writing itself is already done.
It is, but the parts that would make it a book aren't there. You know, there's not an introduction or a wrap up, and trying to decide how to make it, how to arrange it. Because most of my writing, most of my poetry is written over my lifetime about what was going on at the time, but it's not necessarily chronological. So
Right.
trying to figure it out. And I also have short stories that I have written and need to be, so that would be a second book, short stories.
Right, but I think today, the other day in class, you told us it was 70 years of writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70 years. That's quite a body of work.
Well, not all of it got written.
Okay.
I started writing when I was about 5, I think 4 or 5. And I did a newspaper in our little town of Russell. And I wrote down a lot of the things that I heard, and I got into a lot of trouble for that. So I mimeographed it at the school, passed it around out of the drugstore. And my grandmother's like, what? So I learned a little bit about privacy, which helped me in my coaching career.
Right, right, right. Janet Mills, welcome to class.
Oh,
Tell us about you and today's theme, Miss Love. Good one for you.
well, first of all, you hit it with the cool weather. Can't wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I was playing with my sound volumes settings. I just can't wait for the cooler, productive. I just sort of felt like a big hot air balloon floating around. But I think it was like great to say goodbye to summer, going to this, just I had to be out there in that weather. And so when you OD on something, then you're ready for fall. Okay, what was the question with love? Yes, I found out that I am motivated by love. I think I talked about it at the buddy call briefly. So life for me is always have tos. Even if it's something fun, I have to, vacuum the welcome mat. I don't know. So everything's kind of a have to list. But if I need to do something that someone will like, it's my happy place. And the first time I felt that was probably 12, and I made a card for somebody. And just because you feel that they're going to like it, and you're like, whoa, I'm creative. And so that's kind of a new thing I discovered that might work. And I also don't do sort of gifts for myself, like print any of my photos. So that's why that's interesting. And I haven't been here for the other topics because I went to some convention with my clients, a conference, a whole lot of jazzy stuff, which all happened to be on the first Wednesday.
Right. Well, we're glad you're here.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Okay, well, I am Mickey Mike Worth. I am your host today. For those of you who are watching the replay, yes, thank you so much for being here. I am today's topic holder, so I will be guiding you through today's conversation. We've got some stunners and some real boring stuff, and some real boring stuff that we can make a little more interesting. Love is a powerful tool, so we can just get right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we can kind of buckle up because there's a lot in here. As you know, these are dense topics and they have a lot going on in them. I do have a couple of asks today. So if you are somebody who writes notes, you have it, that we have, always my perspective, which is that prosperity lens, that right, what is the very dot in the middle that you are magnifying from is really the big deal about being prosperous, is to be able to understand the way that you're magnifying, exactly the point at which you're making all of your decisions. And I do have that disclaimer that AI is not a love bot. It's true. It is not, but it can help you do some things. So it can help answer your customers' questions. It can do some other things, but again, it's not the same love that you can give to something. So nobody's here saying, hey, you should choose AI and not be you. Prosperity is the ability to magnify. And when you are magnifying from that specific point, it really does come out differently. So one of the things that I am saying is that, are you magnifying from love? Are you magnifying from you being in love with your business, you being in love with the work that you're doing, you being in love with what's there? And prosperity as a concept, again, is always behind everything that I'm creating for you. But it also is the third law of motion is a great reminder in this about what you're transmitting is also coming back. We had started earlier in the conversation today of Michelle going, wow, I built this thing on love and I get a lot more reviews than most people. So I don't know why it works. I don't have a technical reason, but I just know it does. So one of the things that I remind people about the third law of motion is that because every action has an equal reaction, I'm going to remind you to transmit peace. And peace is not just the pious action of prayer. It is that you will want to understand what is your inner peace and how that's treated for you in many places. So if I were going to give you a way to think about something in an afternoon stroll, or a way to think about something as you go, is to really go, well, what does peace feel like to me? And what would that feel like in all of my transactions? An autoresponder for a lot of people is their sense of peace, right? That I put in an order and it's instantly in my email. Right? This is a way, this is a reassurance. A lot of people in business are looking for a reassurance that you've been heard, that you've been seen, that the transaction has gone through, the outcome that they want is on its way. So think about that for yourself. But then we have the Mickey Mike Worth version, right? And the Mickey Mike Worth is to say, in the topic of love, it's okay to be greedy. And greedy and insatiable, and think about the luscious experiments of life. It is the passionate love story of the everyday, that we get to wake up every day and love the life we've built. For those of you who have been on the planet for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 years, right? Even 80 years. That this is an everyday item. These every day is a love story. So the first part of today's topic is, if you want to have love as a business model, you have to be in love with your business model. So it is the place to start. The chat box is your superpower here today. So definitely use it. Put anything in there that is your love story. The chat box can get very robust. So if what you love about your love story is you get to choose your own time, if what you love is that you can try new technology, if what you love is something else, put it in the chat box, because what you say inspires someone else. And for those of you who are watching it in the replay, put it in the comment section. People read the comment section. It's amazing. Sometimes the comment section is the best part of a video. And when you think about that, one of the things I'm going to remind everyone today, as you're going through things, is I would start thinking about the things that kind of hit you and you go, oh, that's going to be my takeaway. What we found after years of doing this is most will take around 3. At the end, I usually go around and go ask people like, hey, what's your takeaway? And sometimes they have a hard time just picking one. So today I'm going to give you 3. I would think about what your takeaways are on you and your own love story with your business. Remember, I am the person who wrote the Prosperity Business Model, and that is the 3 E's: environment, economy, and efficiency. So I'll also highlight those in this video so that you can go, oh, this is what I mean by environment. This is what she means by economy. This is what she means by efficiency. But those are the 3 elements. And when you think about them, I would think about them, yes, it's these 3 beautiful cupcakes that are shown, but also I would think about them as 3 things that kind of feed each other. So we know this model works in a prosperity business model. We've been doing it. I've been teaching prosperity business model now for 24 years. So we've seen a lot of you do really well. And it's really about where you're coming from, where you as the business owner are coming from. So if you're going to journal today, I like to put in a journal topic, right? What are the things I love about being in business for myself or with others? Some of you are having business partners. Some of you are in business with family. Some of you are in business with your best friend. Some of you are in business with an entire community. So I would start thinking about that. And I've got some affirmations in that I'm going to put in today. So you can also screenshot that. There's a couple where you may want to take your camera up to your phone camera and just take a picture of the screen because it's helpful. Janet Mills may remember this picture because she was my bodyguard. So the first part about being in love, first part of love is being in love, right? So Janet Mills, I called her one day and I said, I need you to be my bodyguard because there was this flock of birds in a Kmart parking lot. And I wanted to get this level of picture. So I needed to lay on the ground with a bag of bird seed in a ravenous group of birds to get these shots. And Janet graciously just said, okay, sure, I'll come along. And one of the pictures I love is of this one bird that kind of looks like she's squawking at you, you know. But, you know, you have to be willing to be courageous. And just so you know that, like, that bird does not care if you drop food on you, it will eat it off of you. So there were hundreds of birds that were just swarming all of this delicious dinner. And so if you want to think about the things that make you happy, is that sometimes I get to do just random weird stuff, right, with my creativity. When we think about the 10 things I'm going to talk about today, number one is really just mutual respect and appreciation. That respecting someone, you hear it from me in other ways around blessed to be a blessing, that we are blessed to be a blessing, but it is also that we really can respect the people that are around us, as that these are the wonderful creators that we get to have this experience with. So it is always looking at ways that you can use your language. And language is the first part of environment. It's the first part of the environment you build around yourself and inside that beautiful head of yours. So when we have mutual respect and verbal appreciation, it's also the environment we create within ourselves. That's why I say to people, understand your own peace, transmit peace, because when you can understand that piece of respect within your own thoughts and your own ideas, it's really a lot easier to respect the thoughts and ideas of other people and to verbally express that. Hey, I really liked that slide, or I really liked that part of your talk today, or I really liked that you did this new thing with your tagline. It's just verbal appreciation. We see this a lot in larger corporations where we really have to rewire so much language that can be derogatory. One of the things that I like about these Firefly notes that Michelle's taking today is that we actually get to see all the notes, and then the people who are hosting meetings get to hear and see their language again, and you get a chance to rewrite it. And that's a really helpful tool in environment, is inviting language that's supportive, that isn't patronizing, that isn't judgmental. It is just helping people reword the language that they have in a more respectful way. So this is an example of an I love affirmation of, right, that sometimes the really boring parts of our business we're not really gelling with. So it's rewriting it as an affirmation. For those of you who are doing emotional freedom technique, this is a really great big tool because it will give you something else to say in your emotional freedom techniques. But it is a way to say, let me rewrite these things in my life so that I can count it as part of my love story, right? You're building your own love language. And when we look at that love language, sometimes just understanding the way that we're sharing is right. Is it divided, right? Is it the purpose of multiplying for a more contribution, right? How are we loving each other? So sometimes this one I wrote of, I love that I get to create culture of accountability and responsibility, where everyone takes ownership of their actions and committed. It's essential for the success of this business, right? And we get to really go, oh, okay, that's part of my love language now. There's another one, right? I love that I get to be inspiring and motivating. And when you start to think about that, we see that first part a lot, right? I want to be inspiring and motivating, but now we have to say, what's the second part of that, right? What's the outcome that you're looking for, right? Motivating a team to reach their highest potential and achieve professional growth. And it's that second part that really cements the love language from aspirational to directional. So when you're thinking about the ways that you are writing your love language, you want it to be a complete statement of how are you doing that, right? Not just active engagement, but really understanding the other parts to it. Because prosperity is a verb. It is an action piece. Love is an action. It is fire energy. Pow! It can burn away anything. Idea number 2 is prompt and proactive, right? This is actually where AI can be very helpful for everyone, but it is prompt and creative with answers. Sometimes it's just a status update. Sometimes it's just project process. One of the things that we often see is like, here's what's done on when we have really big projects, we just send a weekly update report. Here's what got done on your project this week. It changes the relationship of that project. But what we found from the back end is that not only does it work in the efficiency part of your business model, but we also see that people who feel that their problem is being solved, the economy of it is better, that their payments are more on time, that they're sure that something is working. So we've done this in lots of different types of businesses where you have a long process. So sometimes if you're doing something that's over many, many months, it is to say, and here's what we got done this year, right? Or here was our goal list, and here's how many things we've checked off. In financial planning for businesses, I have a long list that everyone glazes over on of all the things that have to get done in their business. And then they start to see this little red line that goes through. We did that, we did that, we did that, we did that. So sometimes prompt and proactive communication is just an update. And just letting people know what that is. And when you are thinking about that for your own life, right, I would think about that with how are you showing gratitude to customers, vendors, employees? What is the love story that you are making for yourself? What's the language that you're giving yourself so that you can repeat that as a mantra? Number 3 is loyalty programs. If you have not paid attention to this, this is the biggest change that you're going to see in business today. All of the new Web3 is built on a blockchain. Blockchain, as you know, I spend a lot of time with that product, but these are chains of information, chains of data. You're going to see an enormous amount of change in loyalty programs. And if you do not have a loyalty program, you're going to see a lot of product and building and things around loyalty programs, and you're going to see them change drastically. And when you think about how many of you count your points now, those are all built on blockchain, that you can see it and the vendor can see it, right? But not the rest of the world. So there's lots of cryptography there. But the point of a loyalty program is to say, this is how this person's shopping with you, and this is the reward you're going to give them so that they feel seen, and that you know who your regular customers are and you treat them differently. And we used to do that as exclusive events. And now we see something much, much more robust. So if you are someone who has not thought about loyalty programs, we're going to come back to this in 5 years and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I don't know how I didn't live with this. So your regular customers are going to really, it's going to become so much easier for you to implement that it's crazy to not do it. So the tech on this is being built at a feverish pace. And when you are thinking about how you're going to reward your customers, it's going to look a lot different, because now we're going to look at ways that we can reward them virtually. So we can invite them to special parties that are just online. For those of you who may have seen that I was in a virtual reality meeting the other day that we posted on LinkedIn, and you're going to be able to invite people to a party that they can watch a movie together, they can do things virtually together in a way that's very different. So loyalty programs are going to be there. So when you're thinking about what do you want to reward them, is I would think about that from your love language, right? How do you want to, what would be cool? What would be fun, right? Sometimes it's just getting to go to lunch with somebody you like. Sometimes it's like that they get to see a video. It can be lots of things, but we want to reward regular customers. Right? The first part of love is to be in love with what you get to do. So writing that love language for yourself, right? I get to serve and be served in return. It is this mutual beneficial collaboration. This is more around what we've talked about before, the action energy of grace. That this is that we get to be beneficial collaboration. Sometimes the beneficial collaboration is just a meeting like today, where you get to be in a place and be inspired in a way that makes you want to take other action. The other thing about love is that it's usually a little serendipitous. It is a little surprise in the world. So I would build surprise into your love language, into your business model, which is to start asking yourself, well, what are the things that I love, right? The first part of love is to be in love with your life, be in love with the city, be in love with whatever it is that you're creating. So if you have a favorite place or a city or some place that you like to shop, how do you invite that to your friends? How do you share that love out? If you think it's great, chances are your friend is going to think it's great. So it's really being able, that's when we look at what social was created to be, that was what it is, right? Let me invite you to cool stuff, not let me just pound you with sales garbage. So idea number 4 is, this is another one where you're seeing so much change on blockchain, which is how do we collect feedback from customers in ways that are useful. Earlier in our conversation today, we were talking about Etsy. This is one of the things that Etsy really does for its creators, is it gives them a curated group of culture shoppers that are really interested in buying from individuals that are also creators. So the feedback is often very generous, that it's not there to try to slice someone for being different, that they are going, oh, hey, I'm having this trouble, can you fix it? And we're all just happy to fix that. So this is in that love piece, in your loving your business model, you want to create a system that allows you to collect feedback. And you have to be able to continually improve your products and services. So sometimes that's a survey on something. Sometimes that's an incentive purchase. It's really saying, here's how your feedback helped me. Sometimes it's just somebody dropping a word for you to go, oh my gosh, I would love this in red. Okay, great feedback, right? Or, can you have this in different sizes? One of the things that is very interesting is we had a store that we really loved, and it had all this great clothing in it, and all of its great clothing and all the vendors that they had only offered them 3 sizes. And so if you were very tiny or very large, you had nothing. And so they actually really took that feedback back to their vendor and said, we want to keep doing business with you, but you're always sending us an incomplete order. So as opposed to saying, hey, you only have these sizes and that's a problem, it says every time we order from you, it's actually an incomplete order. We need it to expand on both sides. So when you can get that done, let us know and we'll start ordering again. And that was a very different piece, right? We love what you have. This is the way that that feels to us. And that, from the vendor's perspective, they had never heard anybody say this is incomplete. That they wanted the full spectrum of sizes so that everybody's shape could enjoy that. And they do like gypsy kind of swishy clothes, so they look good on everybody. And that's all they wanted, right? They're like, no, we want that swishiness to be appropriate for everyone because we sell gypsy style clothes. So sometimes it's just giving feedback to the people around you, but it's also collecting it. So when something isn't working for you, it's also that love language of giving people the information that they need. Take action on that, right? How do you build peace? Sometimes building peace is to say, this is an incomplete collection. I'd love to see it a different way. So when you're thinking about evaluating, you have to make it your love language. It gets really boring to go, I got to work on my business strategy today, right? But if it's your love language, it's really easy to work on your business strategy. And the way that I would think about it in your love language is really closer to how fun it is to hit your own target, right? That it's really fun to be able to chart your own magic, because, right, these are the fragrant blossoms of your own life. That you get to set your targets. You get to pick the flowers that are in your vase. You get to smell the flowers that are in your vase. And so the first part of love is being in love with the things that aren't always at the top of your list. And finding new language to help you find that, right? We're wanting that love language in all aspects of what we're doing. Number 5, kind of where to look in your love is your business model is the collaboration and partnership action. When we are looking at that, I would always look at that as celebration energy. That celebration energy is when you're collaborating with other people, you're always expanding. And sometimes expanding is actually repairing. And so when you're looking at the parts of your business that aren't working, that you're looking to kind of free up flow and repair some of those things so that you can expand. So if your accounting system isn't working, let's get that working, right? So sometimes a collaboration and partnership is to say, I'm really stuck here. I'm not enjoying this, that my fragrant blossoms of life are feeling a little crunched and stepped on and thrown in the gutter. Let me find somebody who really likes accounting and let me have them work with me and find the best parts of my accounting and how I can do that. And when I think about accounting for everyone as a collaboration, it's the benefit of a great bookkeeper, the benefit of a great tax advisor, the benefit of somebody who knows how to run a business, somebody who knows how to do an ROI, which is a return of investment, right? There are so many other ways that you can collaborate in your business and on your business. So think about that as what is the love language that you're bringing there. You may also think about how are you co-hosting? Are you doing charity events? Are you going to other things? It's fun to go to other people's events. And that is a form of collaboration. That's that actively approaching energy for someone else. When we think about action energy and collaboration, it's that I'm willing to actively approach and that there's movement in that. And collaboration is labor. It is not without effort. And when we're putting in effort from that love energy, it's really easy to align. It feels like it can take shape very easily. One of the things that I remind people about is that, you have a flavor, that the way that you are out in the world is a flavor. One of the fun things you can think about is, what is your flavor? Are you fruity? Are you zesty? What is the flavor that you bring? It may be that people recognize your energy. They may recognize your smile. I had someone say to me the other day that, they realized that people treated them very differently when they just smiled. I've also had other parents tell me that they teach their children to smile because they want they want that child to always be viewed in a friendly way. Smile at people when you see them, because it makes them not afraid of you. So when you think about your flavor, I would take this in a literal sense of what is that? Are you a little nutty? Are you a little zesty? Are you a little spicy? And play with that, because this is your love language. What are the things that are there? Some people are very sweet. When we look at this conversation, right, it came up with sweet science, right? Sweet science ice cream, right? Ashley's like, I wanted that. And she plays a lot with flavor. That is her magic. That is her chef kit moment as an ice cream maker, is to play with flavor. And so she's going to flavor her love. So when you think about the ways that you can flavor in your relationships, I would think about that in a way that feels good and inviting. Remember, this is expansion energy. And when you are thinking about action, it is really to say, how can I actively approach, right? How can I actively approach the people in my life with a flavor? Is it sweetness? Is it something? Because the first part of love is to be in love. And if you're in love with cherry pie, I'm sure your friends might like to try some cherry pie. So when the love language, it is really, again, I'm going to say, right, sound financial decisions, long-term things that make you feel like you're taking responsibility. Think about the language that you need to put into your everyday life around love as a business model. Number 6 in the ideas is fair and transparent pricing. Now, many of you are going to take away 3 things today. And in those 3 things, I'm hoping that one of them is around transparent pricing. And really boring things about pricing. I was in a photography studio of a friend the other day. We're having this huge event, and all the photographs were on one table. And it was really hard to get around. And we had this throng of people, and nobody knew what something cost, and it made me crazy. So I had to run out to my car, get some 3x5 cards, and I started writing. I just asked them the prices of these things, that I started just setting it up differently so that people could shop in different areas of the studio, that they could see a price. And instantly we sold about 15 items. That when you are looking at clear and transparent pricing, you want to be able, we have a lot of argument over this in community in general, of, do you show your price up front? Like if it's something expensive in a glass case, right? Do you show the price? And you show the price out of respect, that, you know, that somebody just needs, sometimes if it's an expensive item, they just need to know what that costs. Okay. So sometimes that's, you know, do they need to run away or whatever that is, but it is to be able to showcase that price. Here's how much this costs. So clear and transparent pricing is also about just being able to see the price. That if I'm going to put it out there, we want to know the price. And when you are looking at pricing in general, you want to be able to go, and here are the charges for that. Breaking it out, if you have a complex something that you're buying, then really let's look at what that pricing is. That's also in the add-ons. Sometimes, I'll give you an example from Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen is a store that I think is everywhere, but here in the Midwest in the summer, Dairy Queen is like everything. You like everything, like the line to Dairy Queen is sometimes 25 cars deep when it's real hot in Minnesota. And Dairy Queen has all of these things, right? So you have a menu and you can order stuff. What they don't do a good job of is letting you know the extra add-ons that you can. So we went to go get a crunch cone, and I was standing in front of somebody who had a rare piece of knowledge in front of me. She goes, and I need a cup of extra crunch. And I went, what? There's an add-on I never knew existed. I never knew it existed. So out comes this crunch cone, and out comes this little tiny, I don't know, it's like the top of a cup of the crunch cone, right? It's like a little cup, And it's filled with just extra crunch. So you could take one bite of your cone and you could dip it in extra crunch, and you could have every bite have crunch cone topping on it. This was mind blowing, mind blowing. And every person that I've told that you can get extra crunch for your crunch cone went, how come I didn't know that was there? Now it costs extra. It's an extra 25 cents. It was 25 cents to have an extra bit of crunch. I'll pay it every time. So when you're thinking about this from a love perspective, you want to look at fair and transparent pricing is also, what are the add-ons that someone would want on that, right? We see this sometimes on a menu to say, hey, do you want sour cream flavored, do you want flavored sour cream instead of ketchup on that, right? Do you want this thing? There's an add-on. So a lot of times you'll see, do you want a side salad with that for $3 extra? That's fair and transparent pricing. It is an upsell, but sometimes it's letting me know that there's a way to make this better. Oh, this is the base product, and here are the other things that you can get. So this is also something as simple as insurance companies are doing this, right? How would you like to pay for that? If you pay for it in one lump sum, it's one price. If you pay for it every month, we can just pay for it every month. You just got to pay a little extra. So sometimes it's really just, how do you want fair and transparent pricing? It's meeting people where they're at, but in many of your products, it's inviting them to what they want. Do you want the workbook sent in advance? Do you want a hard copy of that? How do you want us to give you that? So when you're thinking about fair and transparent pricing, don't forget that sometimes pricing is about letting me know what's the add-on I don't know. And if you have an extra crunch for your crunch cone, I'm sure I wanted to know that. So think about the extra crunch in your crunch cone when you're also thinking about clear and transparent pricing. Everyone here does know this concept, but I'm going to say it again. Money is energy. Money does not like to be kept in a corner, hiding. It's there to move. It's there to pay attention to, right? Money is energy. Action energy likes to move. It likes to be mobilized. It doesn't necessarily, I'm not saying learn to gamble with money, but I am saying, is the wealth that you're creating, is it moving? And is the money in your business moving? Is it moving in the ways that allow your business to actually grow more business? And so a lot of times I say to people about that, if you're giving back to community, how are you giving back to community? How does the community even want your help? So we had someone the other day who is building a journaling program. And she's like, I have to do all these things. And I went, no, invite your community to be part of that. So we had this conversation of like, invite your community to be part of this, of the outcome here, right? So how do you give back to your community? But how would your community want your help? Sometimes we don't ask our own communities for help because we don't think ourselves as part of a bigger community, right? How would I like my community to help me? Right? Wow, brave concept, right? How do I want my community to help me? And so in your energy conversation, I would think about how would you like your community to pay attention to you? And then how would your community like to be paid attention to? So one of the ways that we did this the other day was I had said to someone, well, what's your marketing budget? It was super hot out. Oh my goodness, it was so hot. I said, look, here's what we're going to do. So we went and got a cooler. We got 36 pounds of ice. We filled it with about $50 worth of drinks. And we went, look, this is $100 day. We're going to learn as much as we can from your existing customers and people that are walking by on the street that they didn't know what it was. We put up a sign that just says, free ice cold drink if you tell us what you think of our store. Very simple. We put it outside. Everyone that was waiting for the bus decided they would come in. We put the ice there right in the front so they could get the drink before they even walked in the store. They could pick through it. Oh my gosh. And it was so ice cold. I mean, 36 pounds of ice. Wow. It's a chiller. And they could pick out their drink, and now they could walk through the store, and then they'd go, and what was your favorite part of our store? And now we could get feedback. Oh, I liked the sticker section. Oh, I liked that this was. I liked that you had mushrooms. So they got more feedback in that one day of $100 by just saying, what does your community want? All you have to do is look outside. It was 100 degrees outside, and nobody wanted to be sitting at that bus station, but everybody still had to go do their stuff. So when you're thinking about community, expand your love language, expand your action, right? You are there to actively approach. Money is energy. You want to make sure that the money in your business, around your business, is working. And what is interesting is that we had a 25% increase in sales that day. And so just the increase in sales that day, and we had drinks for the next day. We didn't even go through all of those drinks. So, expand the way that you think about that, right? Prosperity is a verb. It is there to expand. When we're expanding from something that's playful and fun, it just goes differently. So when we go to number 7 out of our 10, we have a top 10 list today. It's employee recognition. Now, we all know the employee of the month picture that's kind of on the front end, and that's great. But I would really rethink your employee of the month conversation as to what you're really giving. We now offer money. We offer a gift card. We offer something of substantive nature, so that when that gift basket arrives on your desk, that you are an employee of the month, that someone actually noticed it. It's not just your turn. Or that we would actually make it so that everyone has a value at some point. So we would have looked at, how do we reward an entire department for their actions? So most creative something, right? So we started kind of putting together prizes. We did a lot of other things. So when you think about employee recognition, again, go back to your love language. How is it? What's the environment that you're building? What's the efficiency you want more of? If you have a department that is there to build efficiency, let's reward them. Let's reward them for that efficiency. And let's reward them in a way that's a lot more fun than just words. You have to put in those rewards for being great. And something that when you think about prosperity in general, I like to remind people, it is the light that lifts us. It is the light that lifts us. It is that when we talk, it's with energy and power, right? It is that we are now healthy enough to engage differently. So when you're looking at employee recognition, we are recognizing that these are people that have put in light that lifts us. So it's okay to be more personal. It's okay to be more obvious about what you're giving, but think about what it is and how you're going to reward people for those achievements. It can be a variety of ways. So again, tip number 7, think about it. When we are looking at the images that I use for you in class, I often put in images of people from all over the world, because I want everyone in the world to be able to see what we have. But one of the other things that we also have is a lot of language that's sometimes on a slide and not, you're getting many messages, right? So you have a visual image, you have written words, and then you have my voice in what we're doing. And so a lot of times we're taking in multiple things at one time. So when you're thinking about your love language, know that everyone is doing that. So give people a way to give you feedback in a way that's constructive. And sometimes that's about giving a question differently, or seeing a different face who can give you constructive criticism. There are many people who have done your work before you in some way, and you have something to learn from them. You also are on the cutting edge of so many things that someone who hasn't caught up yet doesn't know. So when you're thinking about your love language, again, putting in those love language is in all the parts of your business, and putting them in with images of people you don't normally think of. So if you are going back to the serendipity of your love affair with your business and love as your business structure, I would just go back to something very simple. Invite music in. Music is language. It is language for us because a lot of great songwriters have written about some of the things that you're doing. So I would invite those anthems in, maybe a summer anthem. This is what I'm listening to. This is, if you've ever been to a store and you're like, oh my gosh, I love all this music, right? That's inviting music into, that's the love story. They're inviting you to play. And music is something that expands, and it also sometimes allows us another way to ease into accepting beauty, right? That we can see things differently. If you've ever been somewhere and you hear beautiful music, and it just seems like the whole place is brighter, right? It's inviting all of the parts of your brain to play with you. So expand your love language and invite music in to some of those parts of what's there. You can invite people in during your events. You can invite music into your everyday world. You can do it in a morning, dance-a-thon. We definitely have dance breaks that are pretty common. For those of you who have taken me up on my 15-minute vacation in the sports car, that I'll pick you up with loud music and we'll drive around the block, right? It doesn't take long to feel that energy of expansion. And that's a love language. That's action energy. Number 8, our day idea is really those personalized gestures. And I left it as a thank you card, but again, Janet, who's in this class, she does a lot of great thank you cards. That something will hit her that it's very funny and she'll just do that. But sometimes it's something like a bouquet of flowers, or thinking about how you want to give people a gesture, especially people that have fed you creatively. It is so fun, right? I have someone that I literally just will randomly leave an envelope with their name on it, and then I'll put a Reese's peanut butter cup in there during the holiday, because I know it's her favorite candy. It's 1 year, it's once a year. All I have to do is just tape it to the door. I do it in the middle of the night, so she comes in, she sees her name on that envelope on the door. I know she always goes in the back door. I know she's always opening her own store, and there is her Reese's peanut butter cup, right? But it's just something I've done, and I've done it for 15 years. So it's what does it cost me? Maybe $5 now. Right? But it is a way that person goes, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. And it's always a surprise. It's not as if October is, a new thing, right? It's always there. So it's always in the fall. It's always going to be in that month. But every time she sees it, she goes, I can't even believe it. And sometimes I try to make my handwriting look different or whatever, but she knows, right? Nobody else leaves an envelope there. What is interesting about that act of gesture is it took probably 7 years for her to realize that when she saw an envelope on her door with her name on it, she instantly had dread, because she was sure it was a note about something that didn't go well. And so we talked about it, where I'm like, you've got to rewire that. That if you see that, she instantly is like, oh my gosh, what have I done wrong now? And I went, wow, to see something that is a personalized gesture of love, that's posted on your door just for you, and to always first worry that it's something dreadful is a horrible way to live, right? Because we can't be in fear and in joy at the same time. So it took her about 7 years to really notice it and to come in and go, oh, wow, I have this underlying wiring that makes me go, oh, this is going to go poorly. So expecting things to go poorly is not a great prosperity mindset, just so you know. It makes it not fun. But you can't be in two energies at the same time. So you can't be in survival and growth at the same time. One of the things about if you're making money in your job, it is so fun to be able to invest in professional development, to be able to have an adventure in your business. I do encourage you to add into not only your love language of finances, but your love language of creation is to be able to make sure that you're putting in money so that you can have professional development, and that you do give yourself ways to stay in the game. And so when you're thinking about that, again, this is just one more affirmation that you can take a picture of or utilize in your piece of business. Small things, if you are going to use gestures, small things on a regular basis are far more effective than one big one. Yes, people do count those niceties. So when they get a text from you, or when they get a this from you, or when they get a free gift with purchase, right? That all of it. And so it don't feel like it has to be a big gesture. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. Small things over time count up much more. If you've ever seen those tiny suckers that are called dum-dums, and they're like at a Chinese food restaurant or the bank or whatever, right? Every time they make you smile. Every time. And they're all different kinds. It's not like they made dum-dums. They have never made dum-dums all in one flavor for that reason, because they want you to smile and shop through them all. Oh, do I want root beer? Do I want fruit? Do I want pineapple? Do I want this? Right? It is the fun of it. It is just a 2-cent sucker, right? It is not a huge thing. So when you're thinking about small gestures and the way that you love people, it doesn't have to be huge. But it has to be you. It is the gesture. It is the information behind this. I had somebody just Kimberly just sent me a box of flower petals that she dried from her garden and sent them across the country from California so that I could take a bath with them. Right? I thought you would like these petals in your bath. Okay. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, but it has to be you. It has to be the way that you love. It has to be your love language. Number 9, community involvement. So thinking about community involvement, again, this is environment in that business plan. It is how can you have a positive impact on your business, but how can you have a positive impact on other businesses? So one of the ways that I talk about community involvement, if you have a small little space in a town or a shop area that you like, invite 5 of your friends to go down and experience it, right? And then tell the shop owners in advance, hey, I'm bringing a lunch party over. Just so you know, we love your store, right? How can we be involved? This is what we're doing, or, think about the other ways that you can be involved in community. And it is also to invite them to charity. It's invite them to other ways that they can impact with other people. I had a law firm that was in a really big building, and none of those people had met each other. So we put together a lunch and invited everyone to come in, and it was so funny. No one would open the door for us. We went to go knock to go, hey, we're going to invite you to lunch, and no one would open their doors. All the doors were locked. And it took about 3 of them before they would start waving, because people walked around that building all the time. They had no community involvement because there wasn't someone in the middle of it saying, hey, let's be community. They would just go into their little section of that building and not talk to anyone. So when you're thinking about that, think about the community that you want to be involved with and what communities need to be involved together. Some communities would really do well. So think about what the community needs. What the community needed was to be able to actually know the person that walked by your window every day, right? What does it need? And sometimes it's simple things, right? Exactly like on a hot day, right? How can we all, right? What did the community need? It needed something cold to drink for free at the bus stop. Great. Come into our air-conditioned store and just tell us what you liked about the store. And everyone felt energy. Everyone loved giving away a thing of water, right? It was 10 cents, maybe 25, maybe 50, right? Okay, great. Would I pay someone 50 cents to come into my store and have that memory for the rest of their life? Oh, it was the hottest day ever. They had a free drink. Great. And So what does the community need? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to think about what does it need. Boy, we need a bench here, right? The photographer who was, he's like, no, people need to sit down, right? There's nowhere to sit outside of our building. There's like, if people are out here shopping or doing stuff, there's nowhere for them to sit down. There's no chairs. Like they have to come in here. People want to sit down. And remember that you are evolving and so is your community, community is evolving. So think about what that looks like. I think about this track group that we meet with on Thursdays. It's at 6:30 in the morning and they all come out to run, and it's every kind of person that they're going to build community by just going to the track in the morning. So think about when you're loving in your business plan, when you're loving in your community, when you're loving in all the perspectives, you're getting older, but you're evolving. And that's the big deal. If you're evolving, that means that you're actively approaching something new all the time. Be aware of that. Be aware of that game-changing aspect of evolving. Number 10, this is my final piece, but I have 2 big deals after this, so I'm not quite done yet. But the sustainable practices. Now, we often think about this just as eco-friendly, but you have to think about sustainability for your customer as well. And what is it? So getting a daily email with something that's on sale isn't sustainable for anyone. So sending a daily email out, if you've gotten stores that are like bashing into your, sale, 20% off today, blah, 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 it's not sustainable. No one can shop that much. So when you're thinking about how you're communicating with your customers, think about what is sustainable for them. When you're thinking about the operations, what is sustainable for them? One of the things that we did is that if you wanted people to come into the store and shop every month, that we had to make sure that there were price points of things and products of things that they could buy every month. So we went, oh, okay, let's look at something that I'm going to need in an everyday world, right? You only need a dish towel once a year, but you only need a candle once a year, or you only need this once a year. So when you had to expand the product so that somebody could come every month because they're just interested in what's there, but we had to be able to build a practice of selling something that was smaller, that someone could also buy every month, that they could repeat. So we ended up putting in some food goods in there and some other things so that somebody could just drop in and buy a card, or maybe buy 10 cards so they didn't have to come for the other piece. So think about the eco-friendly practices that you want in packaging. People are loving instant, but they're also loving things that aren't filled with a bunch of packaging, or that reusable packaging is here, or biodegradable packaging. We're seeing a lot of changes in general around eco-consciousness, but sustainability means all of it. It means energy. It means like energy to produce things and energy to do things. So when you are thinking about sustainability, it might not be always offering something that's huge and grand. It's something that I can use over and over again. And sustainability means that I'm only going to probably buy from your store once a month, not every single day. If you're a Starbucks, we want you there every day. So in a Starbucks model, right, you don't have a $40 bill every day. But if I'm going to a clothing store, I can't get out of there for under $40. So one of the things that we did is go, well, what's sustainable? Well, let's do an earring exchange program, right? If what do you have a pair of earrings you don't want anymore? Put them here, we'll donate them. But if you want new earrings, here you go. So there are lots of ways that you can think about sustainability and still have people improving their lives, still have them in a gathering process. This is a very gathering society. We like to gather things. We like to collect things. So sustainability is that, do you really want somebody spending all of their money in your store? Maybe not. Maybe so. But again, right, giving people ways to do that. sustainable practices is also from a perspective of how do you deliver service. That's also the sustainability conversation of sale for Victoria's Secret or some of these other big brands was to say, no, let's either throw it all to an outlet store. So I'll use Coach as an example, right? Let's take every outlet mall in America is built on, let's not try to have as many sales in the store as we have. Let's get people ready so they can go to one large sale and push it to that day. That's a lot more sustainable for them, is to be able to have one big sale, clear it all out, and let people buy as much as they want, as opposed to constantly coming in and buying only the small item or the sale item, right? So if you come into the store knowing that there's never a sale on those items, that you're going to wait for the sale in June or the sale in January, okay, great. I'll look through all of the stuff now and see if any of it's going to be on sale in June or January. So for that customer that is always wanting a sale, just give them that time. It's sustainable, that you don't have to constantly be wondering when something's going on sale. Everything that's going to be on sale is going to be at this sale date on this place and this time. So sustainable practices, be open to that. What does that look like? Remember that chat bar is your thing. It looks like we already have some chats. If you have a business social that you want your friends to check on, please put it in there. If you have a YouTube station that you want other people to like or support, if you have whatever your socials are, feel free to put them into the chat box. Your friends want to know them here in group. They don't transfer with us in the online version, but for the people here, you can think about what you want them to know. If you want them to know your phone number, if you want them to follow your social. Of course, remember, we do have this as YouTube videos later, but put your socials in there, support each other. These are the last two items that I have for you that are kind of a big deal, which is, right, what are the affirmations? What are the affirmations that you want to have or receive? And it is so important. I wrote in there in capital letters, in this business, and then you need to add your name. Add your name, because we do not speak our own name into our own business ever. It is one of the interesting things. So in this business, Sandy gets to. In this business, Balani gets to. In this business, right, so-and-so gets to, right? Put your name there. And this is where I would screenshot this, is just so that you can go, oh, let me talk about this. I put them in a third person. You can change that, but right. So in this business, Janet gets to embrace their creativity and deliver consistent, innovative ideas, right? Cultivate strong relationships. I would think about which of these is you. And it is small business, I believe, you don't have to take this on, but I believe that being a small business owner is an act of courage, but it is also a huge benefit. It is a shining light. It is, again, a blessing. It is really a cool thing to have happen, to be able to own your own time, to be able to use the precious resource of your life, to be able to be a business owner. It isn't it isn't a small item. It's easy. It's always easier to go get a job. It's always easier to go get a job and work for somebody else. But to work for yourself and constantly evolve and manage all of the details, it is not without effort. That you must be aligned in your thoughts, experiences, and your learning to be able to be wise in that. So use this time, use that language to speak greatness into your own business model. So this is a second one. So I just did 25 of, how can you use that affirmation in your own business? And if you are doing emotional freedom technique, these are great kind of add-ons, right? If you're looking for not enough language, this will be another way to do that. Okay, I'm going to come back with our 3 takeaways. And I'm going to stop sharing again, right? When you're gone, I want you to talk about the why you do this stuff, right? Why we do the stuff that we do. And then the last piece I want you to think about is satisfaction. When we're talking about happiness, if you notice, I didn't talk about happiness at all. Because what you're really looking for is, one, the action energy that is there, but love is about satisfaction. It is the deeper reality that you're looking for. You're looking for deep satisfaction. I'm so glad that I got this process done today. I'm so glad. Satisfaction is the deeper reality that most of you are looking for in your business model. So when you're thinking about that, I remind people, right, with the picture that I took here, right, the beauty you seek in the world is already present. The beauty that you seek in the world is already here. In this business, you get to do this and rework that love language so that you have a real defined working concept that brings you satisfaction, that allows you to have that deeper peace. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Again, thank you for being with me. Thank you for being with me. Okay. Janet, I see your smile first, so I'm going to do it for you first. Welcome back.
Thank you. You see, we're still recording, so I will only tell my stories, not other people's. I'm laughing because this was my absolute favorite. And also the garbage truck is collecting right now. And
Yes.
think about how much we love having our compost, recycling, and garbage picked up. It's beautiful. But it's like, the things I took with me, first of all, is how gorgeous you design your business message. I was waiting for the boring part. Didn't you say that? Didn't you promise there was going to be some?
There was boring. Yes.
It wasn't.
I did.
Where was
promise
the boring? It was great. And I wore the right color shirt, red, because it was
Totally.
all it.
It was all
So
planned. It was all planned. You planned all of that.
I love like the story of the envelope with the reasons, how like you dread that the person
Yes.
dreaded. Well, so I wrote that down because dread rewired to positive prosperity. You can't be in fear and joy at the same time, expecting things to go poorly. So that is my brain. So I'm going to need to every day I make up a nightmare. So, and this is being recorded, isn't it? Well, don't do this, people, because it's no fun. And so for cards, there's a lesson that you have in other talks, and you are really good at taking selfies with people.
Yeah.
And then it's like you matter, like you exist in Mickey's world, and you bring that to life. And then when mobile phones were invented, you can take a photo like lunch with somebody and then write a card, and it would come in the mail and it would be them. So this one is
Oh, I love this.
it's at the barber shop, and he has a toy horse for children to play with that's on Lindale Lake. It's a great little tiny barbershop. He's really good. It's $20 for a guy to get his haircut, or a woman. And the hours, there's the sun's shining through, so the hours are on the wall in his toy horse. And I sent him a card thanking him for giving the final haircuts for my mother and father-in-law, so they look nice during the end of their lives. Which,
Yeah.
what better service could you do? What more grace could you give in your business? We didn't know that at the time when each of them came in this year, but and he was like, this is my wall. So anyway, I like you. So I'm going to stop now, but the red dots are all that I'd have to choose for the takeaways.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Thank you,
that
Mickey.
gesture, when you took the picture, did you know you were going to send that picture to them?
No, I put it in the bank. I was like, I'm not just going to randomly like, hey, I'm like, this is going to be special sometime.
Yeah, yeah, so you knew through your images, because for those of you who are watching this later, Janet's a photographer and other things, but she does a lot of photography. So you are banking a lot of images all the time.
Yeah, and they need to all have a life. They need to get, they haven't ever had a life, the images.
Oh, is this a goal? Is this a goal?
Well, I don't know. Karen Karsten had a pretty cool goal in the accountability class of
Right.
putting together, and I'm really going to look forward to how she organizes them chronologically by poems or age, kind of maturity or topic. It's going to be fun to see, Karen.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. So Belani had to leave, but she wanted to just remind everyone, please prosper. And so again, and thank you for recognizing the pigeons. That those were Janet Mills pigeons. Only there because I needed someone to protect me, because I was worried that I would be pecked to death.
Really?
Oh, I had done it with chickens and they were cray cray. I had done it on I was on a dirt road in Utah, and I had gone to the farm and feed store, and I had done this with these chickens. And if I close my eyes, I can just see this one hen just haul an ass to get out because she heard the food drop, and she just ran because I did a test run first. And then the next day, boy, she heard that feed drop and she was out there.
Wow.
So that amount of birds I was a little worried about. So I needed a friend.
There's also the time I tried to get you the cookies that were in your PowerPoint and put them on your door.
Oh yeah.
That pine nut cookies. I was like,
those pine nut cookies.
I think they were in your PowerPoint, and I'm like, I could make these come out of your PowerPoint into your
right. These are gestures, right? The ways that we love the people around us.
Yep.
It makes it really fun. Karen Carson, did you get a takeaway today?
I have a lot of takeaways. I was thinking about the pigeons.
Yeah.
And I remember a time not that long ago when I was at Lake of the Isles, and they had ducks there. And there was a man there with a little boy. He was about maybe 3 or 4. And they were doing something that I don't approve of, which is throwing breadcrumbs out there for the ducks, because they're not actually good for them. But so I'm watching them, and the little boy is just so excited to see all these ducks. And he throws out one handful of those crumbs, and they start coming at him. And he panicked, turned around and ran.
Right. We're done with this now, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think it's hard to decide what to put out there for yourself. When you're like with my clients, there are lots of things that are simple to do that I do, but it gives me thought about other things I can do too. So I have a lot of writing that I have not shared. I have quite a bit of it that's been published, so it has been shared, but it's hard to remember that maybe somebody else might like to see it. And whatever you have that comes from inside of you is a gift. And you just have to decide what to do with it. And I like, you have so many good things. It's hard to decide. Although a cherry pie, Janet, sounds really great.
Right. Cherry pie, why not? Right.
And I love how you're bringing in the blockchain, because it is that AI and blockchain and a few of these other things that are present in our lives now, but not necessarily that visible to us, or of what possible use they could be to us. Now, AI I've been looking at for a while, and that's really fun. And Michelle Berg is just on top of everything with that. So blockchain, I'm not sure that I think I'm like everybody else. When you think about blockchain, you think about Bitcoin. And that's not really what blockchain is. I mean, it uses blockchain, but that's not what its main use is. So I think people need to know about what you can do with that. And I was interested in what you were talking about the reward part. Because there
Yeah.
are more and more digital rewards out there that people can download. And
You're-
definitely the bundle thing is cray.
Bundles cray.
Yeah. So I in part of my decluttering is I've also targeted my hard drive
Oh, yes.
because I used to think bundling was so wonderful. You get all these things, and that's what they are. They're all these things. So going through them and just getting rid of some of them is going to make me happy. And my
Yeah.
hard drive.
And your hard drive. Very
Yeah.
good. Yes. Michelle, what's your takeaway today?
I have a few. One is the extra crunch for the crunch cone, and that might be my sweet for a trip to Dairy Queen. One is really appreciating the reminder of sustainability, because as you were talking about different things, I started getting ideas and writing them down, in terms of like honoring customers, and the sustainability thing was just a good reminder that whatever, because that's one of my things about, hitting the sweet spot. It has to be, sustainability is one of those things.
Mhm.
And scaling back a little bit and going, okay, how can I do this to make sure that it's sustainable? So one of the places I landed was that I need to get a newsletter set up for
Mhm.
my Etsy shop. And one of the things I always saw as being part of that, like a reward, is that every time I send a newsletter, it has free images in it.
Mhm.
And doing that, but putting it on an auto thing. So if you join today, you get access to the first pack, no matter whether it's this month, next month, or 6 months down the road. So
Mhm.
I only have to build out, if I build out 12, I'm covered for everyone for a year, because they'll all start at group 1 in what they get. So that was a huge thing for me to realize. And after a period of time, I'm creating new ones for people that have been on the list for a long time, but I have lots of time to get those ready, and I can build it out as far in advance as I want, or,
Yeah.
so really appreciate that reminder. I still will probably do some of the other things. I might choose like a random order each week, or 1 week a month, where anyone who ordered that week gets a free image.
Yeah.
Or something like that, just something little. And I loved what you said about satisfaction, and I get to be creative and cultivate relationships, because those are things that are really important to me. And I think you are correct about always looking for happiness or something like that, but it is so satisfying and feels so good. So it kind of hits all of the spaces to view it from that perspective. So I think those are my top 3.
Those are big 3. Those are big 3. As I was writing it, I'll tell you my 3 was, the satisfaction is a big deal. I talk about it a lot, is that we're all searching for this very short-term conversation, very surface level happy.
Mhm.
And it's happy like a dog wags its tail, right? Happy. Oh, that made me happy. But what we actually want as food and fuel and things that keep us alive is satisfaction.
Yeah.
And love as a business model is around satisfaction, that there is deep gratitude and respect for the journey.
It feels very different than the like happiness. That like happiness to me feels like a short-term dopamine hit. Satisfaction feels like a long-term slow release of dopamine. Like that it's more sustainable for that part of our brains.
And it's sustainable in all aspects of what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like Janet held up the card that she had made for that reason, right? There's satisfaction in that she'd put it in the bank, that she'd had that long-term relationship, that she did all the other parts. So the satisfaction is really just a full meal.
Yes.
It's a full meal that we can kind of carry in our heart with us.
Yeah.
And how do we kind of put those in the bank all the time? That, it's amazing how a Reese's peanut butter cup is, sometimes I find a different version of them. Sometimes it's a big one, sometimes it's little ones, whatever, but it's just a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Mhm.
And in that aspect of it, I'm just going to drive by and tape it on that door. It never not got there. No one ever stole her candy. But what is interesting about being willing to love other people openly, which is an act of courage,
Mhm.
and to send them something as silly as a piece of candy, taping it on their door, right? It's like having a locker. I told her, I said, I'm just going to your locker in between class, right? We loved to do that, but to openly love and then to be able to talk about the way we love and the way that sometimes it's complex to be loved, that we can uncover some of these other pieces. So some of the other benefits of love as a business model is the complexity of loving other people who are also going through stuff.
Mhm.
And so the more that you show it in your business model, the more you do all of these things, it allows people a chance to see their lens is maybe dirty, or their lens is maybe clouded, or their lens just needs a little wiping, or that their lens is really clean and ready for more. Right? Like, oh, a sparkly thing went by, finally, right? So, that if they have a clean lens, they're like, oh, I want that picture, right? Let me get that. That's so good. That's so good. Right on, right? And they're so glad to have that capture for themselves. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. The other thing that I learned when I was writing this is that it's surprising how we don't speak our own name into our own business. That if anybody takes something away from today, it really is that very rarely do you speak your own name into your own business. So it feels weird and uncomfortable when other people do. Karen, you had something great to add.
Well, I was just thinking about the complexity of relationships.
Mhm.
And the personal things that you go through that you try to share with people in a constructive way, because there's a lot of things going on with me right now, and some of it would be constructive for other people.
Mhm.
And happiness. I had an 80th birthday party not that long ago, and it was wonderful. And one of the things that really stuck in my mind was when my friend Donna Birch stepped off the elevator with that huge sunflower in her hand.
Yes.
And it's right behind me now. And there's just some things that happen that are just so surprising. And I still have the first client I ever had, I still have. That was in 2008.
Wow. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. To go through all the nuances of her life, that some of it matched up with mine, but a lot of the experiences that I had myself that are not happy were very helpful for her.
Yeah. 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 It is
And I
great.
agree with you about happiness and satisfaction. But there are people, and it's unfortunate, there are people who cannot be happy just because they're not wired that way, and they have to think of ways to make
Oh,
themselves
absolutely.
happy.
Absolutely.
And so happiness sometimes is a chore for people.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, it is.
helping them find ways to find things in their life that they can work at being happy about, even
Yeah.
though they have a life that's perfect. Their life is perfect, but they're not happy.
They're
And
not wired, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it is so great. Okay, any words of advice before we say goodbye? We're actually gonna finish early today. I love this. Any words of advice, Janet, for us today? Anything we should take in our heart?
Mostly keep being Mickey. Mickey
Mhm.
should keep being Mickey.
I will take that. I will take that great advice. I will take that great advice. Karen Carson, any words of advice?
And Janet should keep being Janet, and Michelle should keep being Michelle.
Yes.
And I'll try to be something. I like to change my name every once in a while. You have a friend that does that, Mickey, changes her name all the time.
She changes her name a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Michelle, any words of advice before we go?
Just how helpful these are. And I really want to know what Karen would change her name to if she could.
Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde.
Yes. Yes. Don't you do this? Don't you pretend what your name would be? Michelle, don't
I
you
do.
don't you guys sometimes wonder what you would change your name to?
I have only thought about that in terms of my last name, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like, you know, when I was contemplating when we were separated and contemplating like, would I keep his last name or
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to my maiden name, but maybe I would switch to my bio last name, my first last name
Yeah.
I was born with. Yeah, but not a whole lot on the first name. But now I'm going to be thinking about that.
Oh, it's fantastic. Janet, do you have another name that you sometimes think about?
Nope. I pretty much live my life like a train going down the train tracks.
Mhm.
And
Just
so
right.
recently I
Right.
was like, hey, you could just expand and pretend anything.
The
You know,
first. Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Well, I did change my name back in 1981 to my maiden name because I felt like I'd been masquerading as somebody else for 20 years. And I would never change it again. Or
Wow.
look legally.
Legally,
I
right?
wouldn't. Yeah.
I had a hard time deciding that. So I went with all decisions, I go with my gut because my logical brain isn't quite as smart as my gut. And so I just kept my name, but I was at the government center in downtown Minneapolis because I didn't live here at the time, going back and forth, rating it. Meanwhile, parked in a meter that was tow during rush hour.
Oh gosh.
But only had to pay the ticket. It didn't get towed yet, but it was worth deciding.
It was totally worth deciding.
Yep.
That's so good. Yes, the first time I thought about changing my name, there's something. Karen, what are you showing?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. The first time I thought about changing my name, I remember exactly where I was, and I was in high school. And I was standing just one block down from high school, eating a pizza at the gas station that somebody had gotten from the pizza place. And I said, oh my gosh, this would be my best last name. So if you ever see me as Mickey's Domino,
That's
then I'm
awesome.
like, what a name that would be, right? And I'm eating Domino's pizza going, I could totally be Mickey Domino. It would be so fun. And I think I was probably 16. I mean,
That.
so there we go. All right. Well, have a great day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you. I do appreciate you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.